Morning, YouTube. So this morning I'm going to go through Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and then I think I'm going to make a follow-up video going through a little bit more of chapter 3 in Ecclesiastes, and then even going through some John. So it'll just be Ecclesiastes in this video. Just so the little subtitle in chapter 3 is a time for everything. So I'll just read it and then we'll discuss it a little bit. So for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Man, there's a lot of those in there. But I think it's important for us to know what season we are in and to use wisdom. So let me also flip to Proverbs chapter 22. There's some nuggets in here. Is this right? 23. Never mind. 22. So here you go. So just use wisdom in your situation, really. So there is a time for everything. There's a time to leave and a time to cleave too. So I mean, I think I'm even experiencing that with my family and being in college, and trying to transition into adulthood. It stings a little bit, but it's also good because you're learning how to live on your own, be an adult, and provide for yourself, or learning how to, and but anyways, I'll read a little bit of Proverbs as well. So I take back what I said earlier about it just being Ecclesiastes. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge, for it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips, that your trust may be in the Lord. I have made them known to you today, even to you. Have I not written for you 30 sayings of counsel and knowledge to make you know what is right and true, that you may give a true answer to those who sent you? So I think something about seasons that I've been learning is, there's also another proverb that says, whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. And so part of my testimony, part of my journey is I lived overseas for a couple of years, and I definitely isolated myself. And so it was very selfish, and I don't believe that was a time where God was, I guess, maybe kind of shielding me away from friends and family, even, or church family. But I definitely feel that way now, I guess, if that makes sense. So I'm isolated, but not by my own accord, not because I'm doing it myself, but I feel that God is isolating me in this time, and that's okay. And it's been very hard for me to come to grips with. I often wonder, why aren't people reaching out? Why is it because I'm not that likable of a dude or whatever? Or nobody wants to hang out with me. And while that's not 100% true, because I still have a couple of closer friends whom I don't talk to every day, but every once in a while, but still there's that loneliness that's there. And let me go back to those verses in Ecclesiastes, where I feel as though I'm at right now, and what God's trying to teach me is I definitely think that verse 3 is pretty applicable to my life. A time to kill and a time to heal, and a time to break down and a time to build up. I think I'm healing from a lot of things, even in my own journey right now. So I think God is trying to have me reflect on the past, not get too introspective, but to reflect on it in a healthy manner, where I'm even thinking back to childhood and that sort of thing. And like, I think, we are in such a fast-paced culture that we don't take time to process things. And so I feel as though God has given me that space and time to do that. These past, I'd say, 2 years. There's still a lot of healing to do, I think. But that healing is so necessary. It's necessary for other new relationships that you are going to build with friends and, even a potential spouse one day. I hope to get married, but, if that's not God's will, then, that's His will, and that's okay. I'll just serve Him faithfully where I'm at, where He's called me. So, but let's see. There's also a time to break down, a time to build up. I think God is breaking me down in a lot of ways where He's creating dependence. He's creating a dependence on me, or in me, that I am, I think C.S. Lewis says this, like, every man forgets that he is totally dependent on God at every moment. And I think God is making that clear to me, that I'm dependent on Him for everything, and for life, and for breath, for healthy relationships, and that sort of thing. So sorry if I'm squinting a bunch. It's a little sunny out, and my head gets really hot. But anyways, that's anywho's. But yeah, so I feel like there's a breaking down and a building up at the same time. God's, I think, breaking down a lot of the lies I was, I think, taught in childhood, in terms of, you kind of are what you achieve and whatnot, and life is pretty much all about accomplishments, and how successful you are in the world's eyes, and how many friends do you have, and is your ministry booming or whatever. It's like, even with these videos, man, I've found myself, even looking back at the videos, and I'm like, well, how many people have watched? And then I think God really spoke to me, and I don't feel like I have God speak directly to me very often, even though I try and create space for that. But I felt like He was telling me, would you be content if I was the only one that viewed your video? He's with me even now, And that really hit me, because it's like, man, as long as I'm glorifying God and I'm giving Him all the praise and all the honor and reverence He deserves, and He's the only one that watches, then that's okay. That's totally okay. I don't need likes. I don't need any of that. I don't need subscriptions. I don't need any of that. All I need is God, and He will, He'll provide for me, and He'll sustain me. And so, yeah, and that's just something I wanted to delve into a little bit. Just a time for everything. Just use wisdom. And James tells us in chapter 1, verse 5, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. So just ask God for wisdom. What should I do in this season? I think I'm in a season of little right now, but better is little with fear of the Lord. Better is little with fear of the Lord than great revenues of injustice. So I could, blow up for unjust reasons. I could take advantage of people to get to the top, but it's better to have little and fear of the Lord, and because our true treasure as Christians is in heaven. It's in eternity. It's not in this world. So anyways, those are just some thoughts. I hope this blesses you guys, and have a good one.